is Wednesday, June 22nd. Um, we're going to be working a little bit off the cuff today because I'm waiting for my guests to come on in. But in the interim, I'm going to talk about a few things. About 10 minutes ago, there was a Facebook Live that was done by the superintendent of the school district of Philadelphia, Dr. Height, in which he was giving a further breakdown to the choices that parents in the city of Philadelphia have for this coming fall. He and I'm sorry for the last minute, I cannot remember the young lady's name, were explaining what is being called the Digital Academy. This is what the school district of Philadelphia is offering families in lieu of having their children attend a hybrid model when schools open up. Now, this digital academy, it's not what everyone thinks it is not what everyone hopes for it to be, and we just have to see what happens. Basically, if a family decides to have their child attend digital academy, they have until August 4th to apply. From the comments that I saw, you have to meet certain criteria to be able to get into the digital academy. There was one parent that was saying, I do not have a driver's license. I do not have a non-driver's license. I do not have a U.S. passport. I'm not even sure if the offices in the city or the Commonwealth are even open for Department of Motor Vehicles to allow for a parent to go and get a state ID if they do not possess one. That's one of their criteria. The parent and family has to commit to having their child or children be a part of this digital academy for at least 2 marking periods. So if you register and your child and children get in on this program, be it a digital academy, if for some reason it is not working for your child, you can't just say, well, I'm just going to send my child to his or her regular home school. You can't do it. They will not be able to go. They will have to stay using that method for at least 2 report card marking periods. The question was asked, well, if we're going to be doing everything virtual, why not allow the teacher that will be in the classroom with children doing in-person instruction also do a live feed to that child that's home? There was no response to that. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens with the decisions. I can't say that Dr. Hyde continuously said throughout that broadcast that things are changing every single day. Personally, I hope that they just decide to scrap the hybrid idea and allow for children and families and teachers and school staff to stay safe and be home and only be in the actual school building as needed and to work remotely as much as possible, if not 100% the entire time, at least until the first of the year. If that can happen, I honestly feel, and a lot of people also feel, that the cases of the positive cases, the risk of people getting this from each other, without good air ventilation in these very old school buildings will change. That's a very, as a lot of you have seen me talk about, it's a very strong thing for me. I'm afraid for a lot of people. I'm afraid for a lot of families, those that are immunocompromised, those that are perfectly healthy that run the risk of catching this and then bringing it home to a loved one that may be immunocompromised. And we still don't really know what's going on with the children. I'm going to ask our lovely producer to come on for a few minutes with me so that we can talk about this a little bit further. And if the guest that I'm waiting for does happen to is able to come on, I'm just going to bring her right on in. We're going to keep this moving. Hi, Natasha.
Hi, Maritza. How are you?
Good. For those that do not know you, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Of course. Hi, everybody. My name is Natasha Majdi Madri. I am the executive producer of the National Parents Union. I am also the chief of policy for Massachusetts Parents United. I am also a mom of 5 wonderful children. They range in age from 13 to 24 now.
So as a mom, as a working adult, Hearing what I mentioned about what's going on in the city of Philadelphia, what would you do? Keep them home? Try the hybrid? What would you do?
So I think that this is a very interesting discussion, right? Because I think this is always changing, and nobody really knows what's going to happen in the next hour, in the next week. It's crazy for them to say that they have to make a decision right away. Like, I know you said it was a very short turnaround where they have to decide. I don't think that's realistic. I don't think schools are going to be reopened in the fall. I do think it's going to end up being like a virtual 100%, just because we don't know what this virus is going to do, and it's been so unpredictable so far that I'm not having faith right now.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, and there's still the issue with families that still don't even have Wi-Fi.
Yes.
In the city that I live in, I don't know who the cable internet provider is in Massachusetts, but here in Philadelphia specifically, Comcast is the largest provider. I keep on seeing things that, Comcast has decided to extend their offer to offer Wi-Fi. Okay, if I currently have cable Wi-Fi service in my home and I took advantage of that, I already have it, it works in my home. But for those families that do not have it, or that cannot afford to pay that expensive bill, what are you going to do? What is the school district going to do? Unless I see that they're going to provide each and every single home with a hotspot to enable the children to get on virtually. They didn't break down what this digital academy is even going to be, like how many hours a day it's going to require. They haven't even broken that down, because right now, when everything shut down in our home, okay, we're going to send to you 90 minutes worth of work for your child. This is for my kindergartner. 90 minutes worth of work a day, and you get to see your teacher's face once a week. And she's a special needs student, so she got to see her special education teacher once a week for an hour as well. But it all was left on us. If it wasn't the fact that I was home, I wouldn't have been able to assist her. Even now with this extended school year, which she qualified for, 90 minutes worth of work, plus once a week with your teacher and once a week with your SPED teacher for an hour. That program is going to end on the 31st. Then month of August, she's not doing anything school related, and is going to be expected to either go to school twice a week or be home virtually the whole time. Many families do not have the supports. Many families, unfortunately, do not have two adults in the home that would then be able to have one of the adults stay home with the child and children all week long to, in effect, be a teacher at home for their child. It's a very scary option. I'm at a loss sometimes. I get angry. Tomorrow is going to be the school board meeting in the city of Philadelphia. Everyone had until 4 o'clock today to register if they wanted to speak. I registered. I'm going to speak.
Wow. Awesome.
The school district of Philadelphia board meetings are notorious for being on for many, many hours. There have been times I've been to school district meetings that I have been there to 9, 10 o'clock at night, because there were so many people that signed up to give their testimony. So I can't imagine how it's going to be tomorrow. The first hour is spent with, the typical, let's take care of house business, announcements, awards, citations, whatever it is that they're going to do. And then after that, we're going to open up the comments, and you have 3 minutes to make a statement or get cut off.
That's terrible. They should have multiple meetings instead of just like that one long meeting, because that's not convenient for parents. And if they broke it up, they would get more parents out there and would hear more voices from parents, but they don't want to really hear our voices. That's the problem. They're not going to make it easy. They're going to make it hard. They don't want to really hear the truth. They don't want to hear.
It never has been. When I was, the times that I was able to attend any financial meetings, any fiscal meetings, it was at 10 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So those meetings are had. They happen, but they don't happen at a time that's been convenient for working families. So if you want to, you know, when they were doing it in person, if you wanted to be able to speak, you had to be at the school district by 3:30, 4 o'clock. The meeting didn't start till 5 or 6 o'clock. The room was packed. And then you got your 3 minutes. You could, you know, you stayed. And as I said, depending on how many people registered, you could be there till 9 or 10 o'clock. And so I won't be surprised if the meeting tomorrow, which is going to be held, you know, via Zoom, it's going to be a very, very long meeting.
That's crazy. And when you talked about all those meetings that you went to before, did they do anything to like accommodate parents? Like, what if you have children and you wanted to, like, you can't go to these meetings and stay for hours and hours? Did they have any type of childcare offered for parents? No.
No,
Yeah.
if you had the grace of having a child that's able to just sit quietly, it was great. But parents still took their kids, and if their kids wanted to run around, sometimes it happened.
So what about, did they offer any type of language support, like for other families who didn't speak English?
Surprisingly enough, during those meetings, the most they had was ASL for anyone that may be hearing impaired. But there has never been, in the times that I've gone to the school district meetings, any interpreters that I saw. Now, in contrast, in the city of Camden, New Jersey, their school board meetings, they had interpreters and they had the headsets. And I was so impressed by that, when I worked for Mastery Schools of Camden, I begged for that. I said, we need to be able to communicate with our families. Can you please order this? They didn't just order one set. They said, okay, Maritza, you got it. They ordered a set for every school. So every single one of their schools had that expensive equipment that was given to them, and whomever was able to translate, you just put it on. And I would sometimes do the translations, and I'd be like, okay, I would tell whoever's speaking, just keep in mind that everything you're saying, I have to say behind you, don't talk too fast. I'll be in the back with something in front of my face, but the families heard it, understood, and they were given that common courtesy and respect. The school district for the meetings now in the city of Philadelphia, they did state that they will provide, you know, the italics, the words in the bottom, for people that don't speak English. I haven't seen how it works. Maybe I should click on it to see how it works tomorrow, to see if it's correct, because not every one's version of Spanish or any other language is correct verbatim. So I'm hoping that whatever services they do provide, the information is accurate enough for people to be able to really understand what's being done. But it's going to be very interesting.
Well, Maritza, you know how everybody's now trying to figure out Zoom, and then, you know, here we are 4 months later, and now we're like experts at Zoom. But like, there's all these options in Zoom where you can have language support, where you can have different like audios for different languages, and that's all they need to do. So they have an interpreter interpreting what they're saying, and at least it would be more welcoming to parents. They just need to invest in that. It always comes down to money, right? But it should bigger than money. It should be making sure that all parents feel welcome at the table, and they don't, because if they don't speak the language, they're not going to sign on.
I absolutely agree. I totally, absolutely agree. I mean, because of what's going on, it's going to be very important. So I'm going to share my screen like you showed me earlier, teacher. I'm going to share my screen so that everyone can see our logo. And please tell me if you can see this, Natasha, so I can know others are seeing this as well.
Yes, I can see it.
Every family votes. Register online to vote by mail is something that the National Parents Union is very urgently going to push for everyone, every single family out there that can hear this, that can see this. This is something that you're going to see from me continuously, sometimes daily, whether it be on my Facebook page, whether it is on my Instagram page, whether it is on Twitter. Myself, my other counterparts in the committee, we are committed to making sure that every single family across this nation makes their voices heard. Please be mindful. the state that you live in, if you have young people, keep in mind that the cutoff date for them to be able to vote, if they're about to turn the age of 18, it has to be 30 days prior. If they have turning 18 at, at minimum 30 days prior to when the election occurs, they should register to vote. It is very important. We will be having available very soon on our National Parents Union website a link that you'll be able to click on that specifically discusses every family votes. And this is something that I'm geeked about it. Voting for me and my family, and I've talked about this in previous shows with other people, voting in our family has become a tradition. Voting in our family did not come easy. My mother emigrated to this country in the late 60s. She did not become a U.S. citizen until the 80s. So she saw a lot of things for over a decade being in this country. She saw a lot of things that she felt she had no voice to talk about. But as soon as she became a U.S. citizen, she said, I'm going to go vote no matter what. She is a lifelong Democrat. I don't care what party you lean towards, but my mom, when she got that opportunity to do it, when she became a U.S. citizen, she said, I have a right to, I don't care if people feel that my voice isn't counted, I'm going to vote. They're going to see Maria Gertie's name on that in that registration book. So in history will say that I voted at every single election that she has. She's taken us. My sister and I have taken our children. My husband and I have taken our children. And I know my son is going to be taking my grandson, regardless of what affiliation you chose to represent, regardless of what person you wish to back. I know who I want to back. I think I know who you want to back. But voting is something that's going to be needed. All these things that are happening, all these issues with money, with funding, with budgets, legislation, we have the ability to change what's going on. A lot of things are happening now because of this pandemic, but in this country now, we have the opportunity to effectuate change and make sure that that person that is currently on Pennsylvania Avenue does not come back. Does not come back. He is not qualified for that job. He has done nothing to encourage our Black and brown families that things are going to get better, that things are going to improve. He doesn't even care about our health. He put on a mask a few days ago just for a photo op, and he put it back in his pocket. And anytime you see him now, he has his mask is in his pocket. He doesn't physically have it on. He's not leading by example. He's being a bad example. He has created a state of chaos in many, many communities because he's vulgar and has no tact, does not seem to be able to put together a smart sentence, an intelligent sentence. I mean, my 6-year-old probably speaks better than him. Honestly,
we could definitely talk all day about it.
Yes.
Then let me just your guest is here too, but I'm just gonna let her. But yes, so as far as voting, I really appreciate the Every Family Votes campaign. It's amazing, and it's so important to vote, and not just in the presidential election, right? We have to make sure that we're voting every single opportunity.
Yes.
The local elections matter more. In fact, it matters who your school committee members are. You can't just go vote just for the president. Yes, vote for the president, but vote for every single thing that you can vote for. It's so important. And we have to make sure that all the generation, everybody knows that how important voting is. Welcome to the show. Hi.
Hi, how are you? Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Please introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about yourself. I know a lot about you. I can talk about you for days. But please, for those that do not know who you are, please do so.
My name is Alika Jackson. Everybody calls me Queen, though. I am an educator. I'm a high school special education teacher. I am a mama of 8 children. I'm a wife, and I am a doctoral student in my last year of dissertation writing for diversity and equity in education. Um, I just recently started a nonprofit organization called FTP for the People, where we work in our area to fight injustices and try to put a dent in some of this white supremacy and work for educational equity, all for the Black community members in our area. There's not a large population, so it was about time for us to start really just focusing in on issues that affect Black people in our area of California. I'm originally from Compton, CPT. I now live in a more suburban area. They call it the high desert. It's about an hour and 45 minutes away from Los Angeles. And it's way less people of color here. You know, sometimes you have to trade those things. I was trying to escape gang violence and stuff like that for my kids where I lived in LA. And you never can escape everything. I just exchanged it, I would say, for racism where I am now. So the fight is on, and that's pretty much been an educator for over 20 years now. And I'm still fighting pretty much the same fight of educational inequity for students of color.
Queen. I'm so excited to have you on this show because of your experiences, because you're a mother and a teacher. I love going to the source with regards to how people really talk about their experiences and what they've gone through. And, you know, fortunately enough, in the state of California, somebody made it the wise decision to say, for this coming school year, it's going to be, everybody's going to stay home.
Yeah.
We have still many states that don't.
We have to fight for that, sis. We have to fight for it. And what I mean by that is, I'm trying to set something up too. What I mean by we had to fight for that is that we had to, as far as our teachers union, we literally were writing letters because our district in particular, they wanted to start school with the students in school. They were pushing, they have these 4 different phases. So the first phase basically was distance learning, 100% distance learning for the students. But they wanted the teachers on campus. And many of the teachers were like, no, we don't agree with that either. If you're not gonna have the students going to this particular facility, why do we need to interact in that same way if it's a safety issue? And, you know, we were really concerned with that. So our union really fought hard for us as far as trying to negotiate the teachers not having to return to campus. Now, our district members were adamant about us returning to campus. However, our board members were on our side, and ultimately the board voted in a teacher's favor. So we're starting 100% distance learning. And then the governor came out a day after saying basically all campuses should be closed because of our numbers are spiking here. How are you guys in numbers?
Oh, in Pennsylvania, there are a few hotspot locations in the state. The city of Philadelphia, you know, still continuously every day across the board, numbers are increasing. So we are now dealing with being told, parents and families are being told now that they have an option of a digital academy or the hybrid method, which will be 2 days a week for half the children in each school building.
Right.
So I'm really struggling with that because I'm going to be working at a school this fall. So I'm trying to empathize, but I'm a parent and I don't want to get sick.
Right.
I don't want the babies to get sick. I don't want anybody to get sick.
Right.
So I've been very vocal to the point that, you know, I hope I don't get a call telling me, oh, well, Ms. Gordon, we're going to have to renege on our offer. I hope that doesn't happen to me.
I hope not.
it would be, I'll just deal with it if it does. But I feel that I still have to talk about this. I'm not going to stay quiet about it.
Right.
My dad didn't raise a quiet child ever, so I have to, I have to really state and use it. And I'm thankful for this platform to be able to say it. I've seen. Please talk to us. Talk to me. I want to hear about For the People.
Okay.
But I also want you to touch upon Love Your People Day.
Oh yes.
So talk to me about both.
Okay, so I'll start with Love Your People Day. My son, well, I'm 5%, if your audience knows anything about that. And so we don't, as a family, don't really celebrate any of the holidays, but as a parent and having children, they're socially, they're at school where their peers and things, they do those types of things. And they might feel left out. I didn't have the situation so much with my kids because they never, you can't really miss what you didn't have. But an option I gave them, and as a supportive parent, we don't always have to wait on other people to make way for us. We can make way for ourselves. So I put a challenge up to my children. I said, okay, we celebrate birthdays in our household for 7 days, and we do Kwanzaa. We celebrate Kwanzaa. But I said, if you guys want to do more, come up with your own holiday and we'll back you. So my son, at the time, he was 9, Patah Allah, he was the one that was serious about it, and he ran with it. And he said, I'm going to make Love Your People Day, and it's going to be every September. And I said, well, what is Love Your People Day? He said, it's a day where you show your people love. Keep it simple, sweet, to the point. You gather, you break bread, you love your people. And so he started talking about this wherever we went. And, being, like I said, supportive parents, we pushed it. And he ended up in a space where he was with city council members, and they loved his ability to speak on what he was passionate about, which was Love Your People Day. And the mayor of Los Angeles at the time, Antonio Villaraigosa, was so impressed, he sponsored it. And we had it was the first one. We had a huge event in Watts, California, and they paid for the food. They got everybody's shirts. And it was one of the most beautiful things I've to date seen in that community. And from there, it crossed different states because of social media. I love social media because of the means that it can create. And a lot of my brothers and sisters in different states picked it up, and they started having those same celebrations in their particular states. And it's every September. We're going to do it here again. It's just a day to show your people love. So from there, everything else comes. You always have to love your people. That's why we're on this platform, because we love our people to the point to where we want to have them educated and informed. So I'm proud of that young brother.
Yes.
I'm proud of what he did. Now, For the People came out of, the new organization came out of what's going on in society with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery. And I live, like I said, I live in a space, I was living in a place called Hesperia, and it's probably, when I moved here, it was about 3% Black. And it was like a culture shock coming from LA, which is so diverse. I always kept my children in schools where they were represented. They could see themselves in the teachers and the administrators. When we moved here, there was none of that. They ended up being the only Black kids in their classes. And I was concerned. As a parent, I cried. I found the best schools up here educationally based on their we have a dashboard. I don't know if you guys have that, but it's like a state website. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I went and I did my research on the school. So I put him in the best academic school. And I looked around, but when I got to the school, I always make a point as a parent to go and speak to the principal. I think we all should do that. Go and speak to your administrators. I know from a teacher and a parent that is helpful. But as a parent, I do that because I want you to know my children are not your stereotype, and you will not stereotype them, and they will always have advocates in their parents. We are here to support you as a school, but first and foremost, our children are our first priority. So I go and meet the administrators. I let them know who we are as parents and as students. And they had a staff meeting introducing the staff, and I cried. I said, not one Black person, not even a janitor. How is this possible? And so I felt so bad, but you know, as a parent, you have to work. And so what do? Which is why I struggle even now with the thought of distance learning for a lot of parents. They have to work and their babies are going to be at home, and how effective is that? It's such a conundrum we're in right now. So with that, just how for the people, I'm telling you how it came about, that just focusing on the educational inequity, that's where it formed. Before it even actually became an actual organization, the thought process was there. I have to do something for students who are unrepresented where we live, who are suspended at 2 or 3 times the rate of their white counterparts, who are failing academically, lagging in achievement gap, way behind their white counterparts, and nobody at your school is speaking on it. We see the data. The data is there. You can stop ignoring it. We see it. So that became, what I advocated for. And for the people with all the social injustices that are going on right now, I said, okay, now is actually the time to organize something official and press the line. So for the people covers educational inequity, because that's always at the root of what I'm, fighting for. But it also is covering police brutality and community violence. So not just when the police, attack or harm our people in the community, but when we do harm to each other as well, it's going to focus on that. It also focuses on just our economic standpoint and our cultural events, because that was a big thing for me. Look, your demographic here is changing. We got to stop just having country music in the free music in the park days. That's not going to work no more. And just not asking them anymore. I've gotten to the point to where we're not asking them anymore for space within realms that we can make our own change in. Bump that. I'm not asking you. I'm just going to hold a cultural event. I don't have to ask your permission. Of course, you have to get the permit, but
yes,
that's a standard thing that even they have to do. But I'm not asking to join your table anymore. I'm going to create my own table.
that's
So
right.
the diversity in the organization, we have white people, we have Latino, Black, whatever. It's a rainbow, Asian people in the group, but the focus of the group, everybody knows, is to work on the inequities that affect Black people in our community and people of color in our community. So it's going to be something to reckon with. We're already ruffling some feathers.
Oh my goodness. And you do so much between your studies, your teaching, raising your children, being a wife. You do a lot. You do a lot, and you're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. You know what I say about that? Because I still have time to spare. I think I do have time to spare, and I'm one of those people that if I have time to spare, I want to fill it up. So you got, but what I will say is we make time for what's important to us.
Absolutely.
So anytime people say, how people ask me that, how do you do all this stuff? You do what you want to do if you really want to do it. You just do it. And that's my motto. My kids, they'll come, my adult children, they'll be like, Mom, I'm by myself. How did you manage this with 8 kids? You just do that shit. Excuse me. You just do it, and you don't make excuses. If you really want something, you just go at it, and that's what you do. And I know that for me, the passion behind just having equitable spaces, making sure that our kids are taken care of and getting what they need in schools and outside of school, and what we deserve just as human civil rights, that's a priority for me. So when you look at anybody, what's your passion? You work hard for that.
That's right. So if anybody is interested in information regarding Love Your People Day, regarding For the People, how can they reach out to you?
At some point you can, we're on Facebook. I think that's the best way to do it. FTP, it's FTP High Desert. So if you put in FTP High Desert, it's a private group you have to join, but that's where you'll find all of that information, or that's where you'll be able to contact me. If you want, you can give out my email or whatever you need to give out in that regard. And I'll make sure that you have the web page for the people too. But the best way I would say is Facebook.
Okay. 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 But say the email if you want to share it now for those that are like, oh, I want to say it. Oh, I need it right now. I'm going to send her a message right now.
All right. So the email is ftpeople, P-E-O-P-L-E, @gmail.com. Wait, no, that's not right. ftpeople247 @gmail.com. ftpeople247 @gmail.com.
And I didn't get a chance to ask you, and I apologize. How is the family? How is it? How is everybody doing?
Everybody is okay. You know, my husband is, originally from Brooklyn, so he lost about 8 people from COVID, which is crazy. So when I hear people say, "Oh, it's not real, and we shouldn't wear our masks," I say, no. People are literally dying from it just because your family member or is not affected. One of my coworkers up here, in our next city over, lost his mother recently to COVID. And his sisters are now battling it because they live with the mother. So it's real. It's real. One of the council members here has it and has been hospitalized for the last 3 months behind COVID. So, you can say what you want, but you need to wear the mask. It's not a joke. So, I mean, as far as that, we're okay. We're maintaining. We're doing what we need to do in this crazy, crazy time. How's your family?
Oh, we're okay. I mean, I was telling Natasha earlier that I'm very we've been fortunate. Mommy, I saw her yesterday. She's doing good. She's my sister's next door neighbor. So when I go over there, I can see her from across the yard, and she's like, hi. And she saw my little ones over there, and they ran over too. And I said, stop. She said, no, it's okay, it's okay. She wanted to hug her grandkids.
Right.
So, not grandkids. No, they little. They're young enough to be grandkids. They're my kids, but, they little. So they were like, hi, abuela. They called her abuela, and she was, oh, they look so cute, and they're getting so big, and they're getting so tall. And, my family's now actually going to be more together because my son and my daughter-in-law and my grandson are moving to my sister's home. So we're all going to be a lot closer together and hopefully see each other more often. But we're doing good. I mean, my children are keeping busy. My husband's still out there working. He hasn't stopped working throughout this whole thing. I've been home. My work with the National Parents Union is keeping me busy. And like I said, I'm supposed to be starting a job in a couple of weeks. So, with the school district. So we'll see what happens with that. But my wish is to continue and maintain and grow my connection with you. Because I'm like, she's a role model. Like every time I see something, I'm like, Mecca, come here. And she's like, what? My daughter's not on Facebook. She's like, I don't want Facebook, Mom. I'm just on the gram.
Yeah,
okay.
Facebook is for old people, apparently.
Yeah, so she sees things, and I see the things that your children are doing, and your grandson, and I was like, But my bucket list is to go to the West Coast. One day when all this stuff dies down, there are a lot of people, and you are one of them, that I want to see on the West Coast.
That's right.
Several members of the National Parents Union as well. And one thing I can say, Queen, is that don't be surprised if more people from the National Parents Union reach out to you.
Okay.
Because there are several of my peers that also have platforms. Okay. And a lot of them, and there are quite a few that are on the West Coast, quite a few in California, and I believe 1 or 2 that actually live in High Desert.
Oh wow!
I'm surprised if I think Christina Lassiter lives in High Desert, right, Natasha?
I think so.
So don't be surprised if someone named Christina Lassiter reaches out to you, because she's a dynamic, awesome woman as well, just like you are, and she has a show daily.
Okay.
On our platform, and don't be surprised if you get emails.
I would love to. I love these types of conversations, and I hope that people take the best part and use any information they get out of here to elevate. So I don't mind taking these calls and doing these podcasts. I love it.
Alika, I have a question for you, Alika. You mentioned that you're a mom of 8. What are your ages? What are the ages of your children?
Okay, I call them the top 4 and then the fabulous bottom 4. So the top 4 are no longer in the household. My oldest daughter and I are 20 years apart. She's 28, and then I have the 28, 25, 28, 25, 22, and 20. No. Okay, let me start over. See, this is old age kicking in. 28, 25, 23, and 22. And they're off in the world. One is in the Navy. One is, my daughter just graduated. The 22-year-old just graduated with her bachelor's in psychology. And then I have my son, the fabulous rapper MC. He's in LA. And he was recently on Issa Rae's show.
Yes, I saw him.
Yes, I was so excited. He went to his job. He works at a coffee shop in the famous Leimert Park. That's a cultural center. It's like the mecca for the Black community in Los Angeles. And she went to his coffee shop, and he did what he was supposed to and said, I do music. And she was like, well, let me hear. And she was like, yo, shit needs to be on SoundCloud and everywhere else. And she made a spot in her show for him, which was dope. Issa Rae, she's the bomb. And then my oldest daughter, she just had my second grandchild. I'm a grandmother of 2, and she's a behavior specialist. So they're all adulting, and my bottom 4 are 18, 17, and twins that will be 15 in August. So I don't have any babies. The 18-year-old just graduated from high school. He's going to college. So I have the 3 here that are all in high school, and people ask me all the time, what are you gonna do when everybody's gone? First of all, they never really ever leave, and parenting gets just more rigorous after they turn 18, I think. But if they're not physically in my space, I'm about to have a freaking ball. I am not one of the parents that would miss having kids in the house. I have served my time diligently. I'm ready and looking forward to being able to live my life, walk around my house how I want to walk around my house. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And just me and my husband will enjoy life.
Oh my goodness. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. I appreciate you, Natasha, for your patience and allowing me to just talk and I appreciate National Parents Union. Again, like I was saying earlier, use your voice, use your votes, make the noise. Don't be afraid. Don't ask permission. You can ask forgiveness later. I mean, all these things that people say is absolutely true. Queen, stay safe, stay beautiful, stay energized, stay doing what you do. I'm so happy to say I know you.
You do.
Yes, I do. And I hope that relationship can grow even now that I can see you more virtually. I'm like, yes, I got this. Yes. Natasha, we will talk soon. Everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions about the show, any questions for me, any suggestions, maritza@npunion.org. That's Maritza@npunion.org. If you need information regarding National Parents Union, it's info@npunion.org. If you have, like I said, questions, comments, complaints, we take those too. Suggestions. I'm going to be bringing in some people that are still going to talk about the education space, as well as our deep concern about children's safety in this time of COVID and this possible school opening. My next guest next week will be someone that's going to be talking about, I'm going to be speaking with someone from the Department of Human Services that's known as DHS here in Philadelphia about children and child welfare and what's going to happen with all these changes occurring. Thank you very much to everybody. Stay safe, stay blessed, and continue making that noise that's so very needed. Thank you.
Peace. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're not live anymore.